Donald Trump and the Republicans, they want you to believe that the Democrats are divided on impeachment, and they technically are. There is one who is actually switching parties as a result of the Democrats' push to impeach Donald Trump. This is Representative Jeff Van Drew, who was already the party's most vocal opponent of impeaching Trump. Apparently made the decision to switch parties after a personal meeting with Trump on Friday. That's cool. The congressman had begun informing some of his staff later that day, but didn't want it to be public until the following week. But by Saturday, the news had leaked. I don't know exactly why the news leaked, but I would think that if you are a Democrat working for a Democratic congressman and he decides to switch parties to the Republicans specifically because he can't stand the idea that Donald Trump would face consequences for what he did, your sense of loyalty to that employer probably evaporates pretty quickly.
Yeah, and you know how, like, what I always think when you talk about people who say, this is why I became a Republican, because the liberals are to this, they're to that, and it's like, so you sided with the racist. Because we were too, like, what? Nothing should be able to make you side with the racist. If anything, you'll be frustrated, but not side with the racist. So we are just, I think, from this, learning a little bit about who this person truly is. That's all this is.
I think that there are a lot of reasons that you could switch parties. And this does happen, by the way. If you're just getting into American politics, every once in a while, I don't know, every year or so, someone changes parties. It's even happened with senators in the past couple of decades. It's rare, but it happens. But if of all of the reasons that you could choose to switch parties, like, you know that argument that AOC made about why impeachment needed to happen, and it was that we have to get these people on the record. This guy is desperate to go on the record as supporting Trump so bad that he will literally switch parties and potentially torch his career, which we'll get into, just to defend Trump against impeachment.
Or is
symbolically, because it's still gonna happen.
Desperate to side with the racist.
No,
Like,
yeah, all of that is underlying what I'm saying.
I think that, like, maybe it's less about impeachment and more about who this man really, truly, deeply is.
I think it's both of those things.
He's always been.
I think it's both of those things.
Maybe, yeah.
He can't stand to see this guy impeached because what? Like, they attack Bernie as like, he's not a part of the Democratic Party. Yeah, he's got a 75% approval rating in the Democratic Party.
Right.
This guy was a great Democrat. The DNC would have defended him up until Saturday, I guess, because he was technically a Democrat, but he was one who was working to stop impeachment, was very much more conservative than the party at large, and is willing to switch parties over it. And by the way, we don't have time to get into the whole thing, but the Democratic Party just made an endorsement in the Texas Democratic Senate primary for MJ Hagar. I understand Hagar has some supporters or whatever, but Hagar was a Republican up until just a couple of years ago. And so, like, if you're gonna be attacking some independents as this person's not technically a Democrat, but you are like embracing these people who either just were Republicans or on the cusp of becoming Republicans, you need to really figure out how important party loyalty is to you.
Well, to be totally fair.
Since when do we have an obligation?
Do you have a time limit on how long it's been since you were a Republican?
I don't have a hard time. No, I don't have a hard time limit, but there is obviously some sort of time limit.
That's not obvious to me. So for me, it seems disqualifying.
Ever.
It's bothersome for me, period.
Okay, that's fine.
But so I'm curious.
I think if you voted in a Republican primary in 2016.
Okay, so that's
pretty
it just
recent.
Can't be in the past few years. It has to be 10 years.
Well,
or
2016 is literally Donald Trump is running, and you're like, nope, I'm still down to be a Republican.
And that doesn't mean that they voted for Trump, but
no, it doesn't mean that they voted for Trump, but that Trump being embraced by the Republican Party was not by itself disqualifying for your participation in that party.
Okay,
Anyway, I don't want to get too much into the Hagar stuff. That's not the story that we're talking about.
Right, okay.
This guy is what I'm frustrated about. I think we should at some point have a conversation about that because I think that is very interesting.
I've never heard you like say that, and there's a lot of people who like used to be Republicans that you're cool with, and then I didn't. Like we don't like slam Elizabeth Warren for that. And,
well, yeah. To be fair, she was. Well, first of all, a lot of people do, but I would say she was a Republican decades ago.
Right.
That's different than 2.5 years ago.
Okay, maybe not to like the marginalized communities that those policies she supported.
Not
maybe
at all.
Not, but I guess I don't. And I like Elizabeth Warren, and I love the policies now. But I think that the argument is the same. I don't know. I think I'm trying to work it out myself.
Does that make sense? One of the things that we always disagree on is. I agree.
One of the many things
that we found. I think there's 3 things. No. I always disagree about it not making any difference.
Okay.
I think it doesn't make all the difference, but
Okay.
it doesn't make no difference. I'm somewhere, somewhere
so
here.
I think that
with this being the distance between us, I'm somewhere here.
Yeah, no, I think that like it
But I get what
doesn't
you're
make
saying.
all the difference. It doesn't make no difference, but I think of less of a there's less of a difference that it makes for me, like on the spectrum, no matter how long ago it was. It's all about the same for me.
I don't necessarily agree with you, but I respect your opinion.
Okay.
You know who probably doesn't? This guy. Anyway, I honestly don't know.
Yeah, I don't know what this is.
To
Right,
be
we're
fair,
so
I
like,
didn't-
what is this?
I don't know. We're talking about a million different things. Look, I didn't know a lot about this guy beforehand. I probably won't learn much after this because he's becoming a Republican. But
I'm on the
look,
same
to
page
just
as
jump
you.
ahead. I mean, it had been a district that Republicans held up until very recently, so maybe he'll be okay. But I got news for him. Like in the past couple of decades, maybe Trump will go all out supporting this guy because he switched for him. Maybe. But like staking your future on Trump will never throw me under the bus has not generally worked out for people. And recently, partisanship is of a sort in America that they would just rather have a real Republican, someone who was a Republican up until like the whole time. And so I want to give credit to Sahil Kapoor, who tweeted out most recent party switchers in the US Congress and what ended up happening to them. So you had Justin Amash, we'll see. I don't think the Republicans are gonna like him very much, but Parker
To be
Griffin.
determined is hilarious.
Exactly, switched from Democrat to Republican, then lost in the primary. Arlen Specter switched from Republican to Democrat, lost in the primary. Like, this isn't as clever as politicians think it is, I think. People don't like this generally. And it's not to say that people shouldn't be able to change, but you better have a good reason. And I think the Dems are being too hard on Trump. I'm not sure that that's gonna play with a lot of people.
And you know what's so frustrating is that let's say this is strategy, because it seems to be like kind of what that's looking at, like the possibility for it to be, and that is so frustrating because it's like this idea that it is about staying in office. It's about keeping your job, not necessarily like fighting for the people who you know what I mean, like using what you believe in to fight for a large group of people. It's about keeping the job, and that is awful. But also on the right a lot these days, that's all that matters. Just join the team. Doesn't matter how, who, what, when, just join the team.
Yeah. Well,
it's all lies anyway.
Yes,
like,
but I would add until
so
Trump declares that you're not on the team anymore.
Maybe, yeah.
Even if you've been 100% supportive of him.
Yeah.
And I just think for this guy, Jeff Van Drew, like, I know that this doesn't literally accomplish what I'm gonna say, but it feels like this is a stamp of approval for so many disqualifying, horrible, immoral, and illegal things that Donald Trump has done. That I get that the impeachment is limited to a very limited thing. That was not my strategy. I spoke out against it, but that's what we're going with. But I feel like his record is about to be on trial. And for you to, knowing that your switch is not even gonna stop it, it's still gonna go to the Senate. It's a weird symbolic move to make, to say, no, I have to stand and be counted as a defender of Donald Trump. What a pathetic move to make.
Exactly, and before we go, can I just like clarify what I said earlier? I didn't mean to say
I
it
prefer
is
if you don't.
disqualifying. What I meant was that it is like, I don't know why I said that, but it's like all about the same. There's the difference in time doesn't make a difference in my mind.
I want us to have a
it's
full
not
conversation about that.
obviously.
I'm curious, because I want us
think
to
I'm
understand
maxed
each other
out.
better. Okay, well, we won't do it now.
Monday still?
It's just Monday. We didn't have our big theme song before the show. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.